Just a few days ago, I had one of the most distracting days in weeks. And today, I'm gonna share my experience with you, so hopefully, you'll walk away with something that will help you be more intentional in your life. So, the other day, I woke up in the morning, went for a jog, and when I came back, I noticed that my mental chatter, my inner dialogue, my rumination had degraded in quality. Sometimes, for example, the voice in your head is like thinking about the future, becoming excited, thinking about funny things, maybe singing a song, and some other times it's in this case, it's more surrounded by worry, by concern, and you don't really there's not necessarily a connection between what you just did and what your mind uh, what appears in your mind, right? So I noticed that my inner dialogue had become very, very negative. And I was like, this is not one of my best days today. I was noticing this, being with it. Okay, and then I started my work day. Right, I went to the computer, and throughout the course of the morning, I did manage to get some work done. But I had this interruptions every once in a while. I think I checked the news several times. I browsed on Reddit as well, on popular posts or trending or whatever that's called. Uh, and it was like uh, intermittent interruptions. Um, and and later in the day, it continued, and yeah, I overall wasn't feeling at my best. So as I was telling that, it continued on. It continued happening throughout the day, and early at night, I go on X. I'm like, I'm gonna check this out, and I check that out, and then, as it's probably happened to more than one person, you end up doing something completely different that was originally intended, right? And it was at that moment, more or less, that I I was like, I remember thinking something like, this can't continue happening. I was like kind of like uncomfortable with the situation. I was like desiring change, right? And that led me to do some research online, and I found something that is potentially going to be very useful, both to me and to you. But I'm not gonna share it today because I'm cautious about what I share publicly, and I haven't really studied it to be confident in sharing it. Okay, and so yeah, that's pretty much what happened the other day. In a few words. So, what can you take from this? Well, the other day I experienced the benefit of accepting things as they are and the benefit of not accepting things as they are. What? It's a contradiction, right? How can you, in the morning, where I was sort of accepting the state I was in, I was like letting it be, I was like, all right. And in the short term, that was a good strategy because I managed to sort of not freak out about it, right? I imagine that it would have been worse if I hadn't done that sort of acceptance, right? And early at night, an example of it was because I didn't accept things as they were, that it's because of that I got to a discovery, and a potentially useful discovery. So this contradiction is more or less the thing maybe worth thinking about. That if, for example, if you accept things as they are all the time, you become complacent, and that's not really a good thing because it doesn't help. It doesn't make you want to improve, right? And on the other hand, if you are always not accepting things as they are, it's also not a happy state to be in, right? So I don't know if I'll ever learn to play with this contradiction. I think it's one of those things that you it's not that you get there, but that you become less worse with that over time, right? Maybe, right? Uh, so I hope this has been helpful to you, or I hope this becomes helpful to you in the future. Maybe you can keep it on the back of your mind if something like this, or more or less like this, happens to you, and you can employ this in your life. And yeah, I thought it was a good idea to share to share some truth, right? To share some truth that I'm not the perfect individual that never gets distracted, the guru, the super expert, right? Uh, and yeah, I'm gonna cut this here because the longer I go, the higher the likelihood of me saying something that's not accurate, that it's not my experience, that it's not based on my experience. So yeah, I hope you find this helpful. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time, or I won't. Bye bye.